There are moments in every believer's life when faith does not feel like an overflowing river or a roaring fire. Instead, it feels like a fragile whisper, thin, trembling, barely enough to steady a single step forward. We know what Scripture says about moving mountains, but there are days when we can barely move ourselves out of bed. We hear about boldness, courage, and spiritual authority, but we wake up feeling unsure, fragile, human. Yet this is the mystery woven into the fabric of divine relationship. Your faith does not have to be large for God to act, because the power was never in the size of your faith, but in the size of your God. Faith feels small, but He is not. Faith shakes, but He does not. Faith fluctuates, but His heart toward you remains unwavering. This is why Jesus spoke not of a towering oak or a sprawling cedar, but of a mustard seed, the smallest seed known to His listeners. He did not choose a symbol of strength or size, but a symbol of insignificance by human standards. And He did so deliberately, almost provocatively, to teach us that heaven responds not to spiritual impressiveness, but to spiritual surrender, not to the magnitude of belief, but to the direction of trust. The question is not, how strong is your faith today? The question is, who is your faith in? And when you remember the answer, truly remembered, the ground beneath your feet begins to steady again. The illusion of big faith in a culture where strength is measured in intensity, volume, and visible confidence. We are conditioned to believe that anything small must be inadequate. We admire heroes with fiery certainty, prophets who call down miracles, disciples who walk with unshakable resolve. We imagine that spiritual maturity must look like towering faith that never wavers, never questions, never trembles. But this is not the faith Jesus honors. Scripture is filled with trembling believers, doubtful disciples, and fearful saints who felt too small for the moment before them. Moses stuttered, Gideon hid, Elijah ran, Thomas questioned, Peter sank. Even Paul, the apostle of unwavering mission, confessed to being pressed beyond measure and despairing of life itself. Jesus never demanded that His followers be unbreakable. He never required flawless confidence. He never expected human hearts to be steel. Instead, He asked something far simpler and far more profound. Bring me what you have, even if what you have feels small. He did not multiply large baskets of fish and bread brought by wealthy merchants. He multiplied a little boy's lunch. He did not praise those who believed perfectly. He praised those who believed honestly. He did not choose the strongest, but the willing, not the boldest, but the obedient, not the spiritually grand, but the spiritually surrendered. This is the kingdom paradox. Small faith becomes great not because of what it is, but because of who it rests upon. When small faith still moves heaven, there is a line in Scripture that should comfort every weary heart. Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief. This sentence is not a polished declaration. It is not a triumphant proclamation of confidence. It is the cry of someone whose faith is flickering in the wind, someone who is trying to believe while battling fear, doubt, and confusion. And Jesus does not rebuke him. He does not say, "Come back when you're sure." He does not say, "Your belief is too weak." He answers the prayer. He honors the fragment. He moves on behalf of the broken. This is the nature of divine love. God does not wait for your faith to grow before He meets you. He meets you so your faith can grow. Your faith does not needs to be real. It does not need to be impressive. It needs to be surrendered. It does not need to be full, it needs to be offered. When the disciples cried out in the storm, "Lord, save us," they weren't expressing perfect faith. They were expressing desperate faith. And Jesus did not wait for eloquence. He stilled the winds anyway. When the woman with the issue of blood touched his robe, she did so secretly, fearfully, uncertainly. And Jesus did not shame her for her fear. He called her daughter. When Peter began to sink on the waves, Jesus did not let him drown as punishment for doubting. He reached out immediately. Over and over, Scripture shows this pattern. It's not the size of faith that moves God. It's the direction of faith. If your heart is pointed toward Him even through trembling, He responds. The weight of the one you trust faith is like a bridge. Its strength does not come from the person walking on it, but from what it is anchored to. A child can walk across a steel bridge with shaky steps. The bridge remains unmoved. An adult can walk across a rotten bridge with steady steps. The bridge collapses beneath them. The lesson is simple. The object of faith matters infinitely more than the intensity of faith. If your trust is in your ability, your emotions, or your understanding, then yes, small faith will feel like it is breaking beneath the weight of life's storms. But if your trust is anchored in the one who built the oceans, carved the mountains, and measured the stars with his fingers, then even the smallest seed of faith becomes unshakably rooted. God is not fragile. God is not unstable. God is not overwhelmed, therefore. Your faith when placed in Him cannot be overcome. Even when it feels like it is fading, a mustard seed becomes mighty not because the seed is impressive, but because God is. The seed is small, but the soil is alive. The seed is fragile, but the gardener is faithful. Faith planted in anything else will fail. Faith planted in God will flourish even if it begins as almost nothing. When life magnifies fear, remember His power. Fear has a way of making small faith feel microscopic. When life is peaceful, trust feels easy. But when the storm rises, the betrayal, the financial collapse, the unexpected loss, faith feels like a thin thread stretched to the point of breaking. Fear exaggerates the mountain. Fear magnifies the impossible. Fear whispers lies. You don't have enough faith. You're too weak. You're failing God. You should be stronger by now. But fear, for all its volume, forgets one truth. Your faith, small as it feels, is in the one who commands the storm, not the one who is threatened by it. God has never needed your strength to act. He has never required your clarity to lead you. He has never depended on your confidence to fulfill His promises. He works through the faint, the fragile, the weary, the afraid, because His strength is made perfect in weakness, not in performance. A trembling hand lifted toward heaven still touches God's heart. A whisper of prayer still reaches the throne room. A single step, taken with shaky courage, still moves mountains in the unseen realm. Even when fear is loud, faith, small though it may be, remains anchored to the highest name in existence. The God who honors the small God has always moved through small beginnings. A baby in a manger, 5 loaves in a basket, a shepherd boy with a sling, 12 unqualified disciples, a crucified Messiah who rose with scars. He does not despise small things. He sanctifies them, and the same is true of your faith. God is not waiting for you to become a spiritual giant before He works through you. He meets you in your smallness. He honors the seed. He breathes on the spark. He strengthens the trembling. He multiplies the little you have until it becomes more than enough. This is why Jesus says, "My power is made perfect in weakness." He does not ask you to hide your fragility. He asks you to hand it to Him. Faith grows when it realizes it never had to be large. When you feel like you're failing, there are days when your faith feels too small to stand. Days when you want to pray, but your words feel empty. Days when you want to believe, but you're tired. Days when your spirit feels bruised. Days when you compare your fragile trust to the confidence of others and think, "What's wrong with me?" Nothing is wrong with you. You are human, and your humanity does not threaten God. God is not disappointed by your weariness. God is not surprised by your limits. God is not disillusioned by your struggle. He sees every fear, every tear, every doubt, and still calls you His own. His love is not based on the strength of your faith. His love is the foundation of your faith. You are not loved because you trust well. You trust because you are loved well. The one who holds you when faith feels small. Remember this, you are not the one holding God together. God is the one holding you together. You are not saved by the size of your belief. You are saved by the strength of His grace. You are not upheld by the power of your confidence. You are upheld by the power of His promise. You are not carried through storms because you are fearless. You are carried because He is faithful. The essence of Christianity is not that we cling tightly to God. It is that God clings tightly to us, even when you cannot see Him, even when you cannot feel Him, even when your faith is small, fractured, or flickering. Your faith may weaken, but His grip does not. Let this be your comfort when your faith feels small. Remember this truth. Your faith is in the one who created the universe with a whisper, who defeated death with a breath, who restores brokenness with a word, who calls you beloved even in your weakness. He is not asking you to have faith the size of the ocean's only faith, the size of a seed. Is not asking you to be unshakably confidently willing to trust Him with the little you have. He is not asking you for perfection only, honesty, not for strength only, surrender. A seed can grow, a spark can ignite, a whisper can become a roar. Your small faith, placed in a limitless God, is more powerful than you realize. The seed that becomes a sanctuary. Your faith does not need to be large to be real. It does not need to be loud to be heard. It does not need to be unshakable to be precious in His eyes. All it needs is direction toward Him. You may feel small. Today you may feel unsure. You may feel like your faith is barely holding together. But you are not defined by the size of your belief. You are defined by the one who holds it, the God who parted seas, calmed storms, healed the broken, raised the dead, redeemed the lost, and restored the shattered. As the same God who walks beside you when your faith feels no bigger than a mustard seed, and He whispers to you now, don't look at the size of your faith. Look at me. Your faith may feel small, but your God is immeasurable, and that is enough, always enough, forever enough.